Okay, welcome back to the Israel Bible Daily Challenge. We are up to Sefer Shoftim. We're going to do Prakim chapters Zayin and Chet, 7 and 8 today. And we're continuing with the story of Gidon. We saw in last week's chapter that Gidon was the next Shofet. He was chosen by God to save the Jewish people. And now begins in Perek Zayin the battle against Midian. So Gideon musters thousands and thousands of soldiers, but Hashem tells him, you have too many. You have simply too many soldiers. You don't need so many because I'm going to help you out. So Hashem says, I want you to take away some of the soldiers because I'm afraid that if we beat them with thousands and thousands of soldiers, so then they'll say that it was because we had a lot of soldiers, right? As the way the Nach puts it, it's actually for the Jews. The Jews might think, oh, the reason we won the war is because we had so many soldiers and we knew what we were doing and we fought better than they did. So Hashem said, I don't want that happening. I want the Jews to realize that I'm the one who allows them to win their battles. So immediately, he announces that anybody who's afraid, doesn't want to fight, please leave. 22,000 soldiers leaving 10,000. I mean, they started with 32,000, they're now left with 10,000. But Hashem says, still, it's too much. So he says, I want you to do something that's going to test, that's going to determine who is fitting to fight the battle and who is not. So I want you to bring them down to the river to drink. And those of you I say, those are the ones that I want to keep them, and the other ones will go home. So what does he do? He brings them to the water, and there was two ways that they can drink water. They can either take some water in the cup in their hands and drink it, put it to their mouths and drink it. Or they can actually get down on their knees and basically bow to the water, put their mouths in the river, in the water, and drink that way. So 300 of them drink from their hands. They take the water with their hands and they drink it, and all the rest, which is a lot, 9,700, get on their hands and knees and basically bow down to the water. So Hashem says, those 300 are the ones I want you to go to battle with. Starting from 32,000, we're down to 300 soldiers. And the Mefarshim, the commentators, explain that why is that a test? Why does that show who's fitting to go to battle? Because the ones who went on their knees and bowed is a sign that they were accustomed to bowing down to foreign gods. And therefore, Hashem said, I don't want them to fight the battle. I want only the ones who show that they don't bow. They don't put their knees on the ground except for the bow to Hashem. And therefore, they're the ones who are going to go to battle. Okay. So he tells the people to take whatever they need, food, and they also take the food of all the ones who left, so they have plenty of food, and to take shofarot, right, horns, right, to blow in their hands with that. So at the night, right before the battle starts, Hashem says to Gideon, go into the camp, and I have delivered them into your hands. You can start the battle. But Hashem says, if you're still afraid, I want you to go down to the camp of the Midianites, of the enemies, and go with your nar, with your assistant, your attendant, Pura. His name is Pura or Pura. And I want you to hear what they have to say, and that'll be a sign whether you're going to win or not. So they go right near the guard station, and they hear one guard saying to the next the following. He said, I had a dream, and in my dream there was a piece of red salil, it's called, which the Mepharshim explains the harara or matzah, some kind of a piece of bread that was rolling around the camp of Midian, and it hit a tent, and it knocked it over, and the whole tent fell down. So the friend, the other guard, says to him, you want to know what the interpretation of that is? That is referring to the sword of Gidon, the Ben Yoash, who's about to fight against us, and Hashem has given us, Midianites, over into the hands of Israel. And when Gidon hears that, he says, that for sure, that really gave him the confidence to be able to go out to war. So he takes all of his troops, again, it's only 300 men, and he splits them into three troops, I guess you'd call it, three different groups of soldiers, and he gives each of them shofarot, right, horns to blow, and empty flasks and torches. And he says, you're going to do whatever you see me do, you do the same thing. So they go towards the edge of the camp of Midian, and Gidon with his 100 people, because he came with one of the groups of soldiers, and it was in the middle of the night, basically. And he starts blowing the shofars. He breaks the flasks, which obviously makes a lot of noise, and it sounds like thousands and thousands of soldiers are coming onto the Midianites, and they also light up their torches. And when this happens, all of the soldiers or the people in the camp of Midian are sent into a frenzy. They don't know what to do. They go here and there, and they start, running like crazy men, and they, bump into each other and kill each other, thinking that they're the enemy. In short, these 300 men, who of course followed suit what Gidon told them to do, and these 300 men basically scared the Midianites until they just left everything there and ran away. And at that point, people from Naphtali and Asher and Menashe, who I guess they were not part of the 300, but they saw what's happening, and they ran after the remainders of the camp of Midian. And then Gidon sends messengers to Har Ephraim, the mountain of Ephraim, and he says, go and meet the Midianite soldiers and catch them by the water crossings. And the men of Ephraim do so, and they basically catch this river crossing, and they obviously do a lot of damage to the Midianites, and they also catch two very high-ranking officers in the Midianite armies. That's Orev and Ze'ev, and they kill them, and they run after, chase, pursue the rest of the Midianites. Okay, and that takes us to the end of chapter 7. Chapter 8, the direct continuation. The people from Ephraim complain to Gidon, and they said, why did you call us only at the end? Why didn't you call us at the beginning? Why didn't we, why weren't we part of this whole plan? And they were very, very upset, and they were really complaining against Gidon. And Gidon diffused the situation very nicely in Pasuk Bet. What did I do like you did? Meaning what I did was nothing compared to what you did. Halo tov olelot Ephraim mibetzir Aviezer. The olelot, the grapes which are although they're actually lesser quality grapes. The lesser quality grapes of Ephraim are greater than the Batzir. The Batzir is the real harvest of Abiezer. Don't forget, Gidon was from the family of Abiezer. Gidon ben Yoash, Avi Ha'ezer. He was from Abiezer. So he was saying to them basically, you are the ones who really won the battle because you're the ones who caught those two leaders, and you're the one who killed them, and what you did was much more important and much greater than what I did. And because of that explanation that he gave them, they were calmed down, and the situation, Baruch Hashem, didn't turn into what it could have turned into, a whole battle between Gidon and Shevet Ephraim. Then Gidon asks from two different places, the people of two different locations, Sukkot and Penuel, from Penuel, he asks them for bread and water for the people, for his soldiers, because they're continuing and pursuing the Midianites. And he says, we need food. So he asks the people of, again, the first place was Sukkot, right? Anshe Sukkot. He asks them for food and water, and they refuse. And they say, what have you? Oh, I'm sorry. So Gidon said the reason is because he's running after the kings of Midian, which is Zevach and Salmuna. He's running after them, and he needs basically provisions to be able to continue chasing them. And the people of Sukkot totally refuse. And they say, well, do you have Zevach and Salmona in your hands yet that we should give you food? So Gidon says very simply, he says, okay, when I finish this war and I catch them and I'm on my way back, I am going to totally destroy you. I'm going to kill everyone in the city because you refuse to give us food. And then Gidon goes to the next place, Penuel, and they also refuse to give him food. Same story. And this time Gidon says to him, when I come back, I am going to knock down your Migdal. They had a big tower in the middle of the city. And he said, I'm going to knock it down. Okay. We'll get back to that very shortly. Zevach and Salmuna, starting in Pasuk Yud, they run away with about 15,000 of their soldiers, which was all that was left from the camp of Midian. And by the way, it says that how many were killed? How many altogether were there? Besides these 15,000 were still alive, there was 120,000. Imagine, 120,000 soldiers of Midian were killed by these 300 at least started it, and then Shevet Naphtali and Ephraim and who else was it? Asher, right? They and Menashe, right? They all helped, pitched in, and killed 120,000 soldiers. So Gidon goes to a certain place where he finds them, and he destroys that whole city, and Zevach and Salmuna themselves, those two kings, they run away, and Gidon runs after them, pursues them, and finally catches up to them and grabs them. Okay, fine. And one second, I'm just sorry, but they caught them. They didn't kill them yet. We'll see how he kills them in a minute. So Gidon ran after them, destroyed the rest of the army, and caught Zevach and Salmuna alive. And now they're on their way back. Gidon keeps his word to the people of Sukkot, and he destroys. I'm sorry. What he does first is, I'm sorry. How's he fun? He gets a nar. He gets a child, a young boy, from Sukkot, and he says, "Write down for me on a piece of paper the names of all the zikenim of being the elders, the chashuv people of your city," and he writes down for them 77 names. Gidon comes to Sukkot, and he says, You said I wasn't going to get Zevach and Salmuna. Well, here they are. Here I have Zevach and Salmuna, and you disgraced me and said that I wasn't. You said I'm not going to give you food. We're not going to give you food because you don't have them yet. Well, here they are. And he takes the Knei Ha'ir, the elders of the city, these 77 men, and he takes thorns and thistles, and he basically tortures them. He kills them in a very unpleasant way, let's call it. And then he goes to Penuel, and he destroys their tower, like he said. And then it says, and he also killed everybody in Penuel. Seemingly, he didn't say that. He didn't say he was going to kill everybody. He just said he was going to knock down their tower. So the Mefarshim, the Radak, and the Metzudas David say that the reason he killed them is because when he tried to go and knock down their tower, they fought against him. So now it's self-defense. They're trying to stop him, so he killed all the people in the city and knocked down their tower. Okay. Now Gideon says to Zevach and Salmuna, where are the people that you killed in Tabor? This is like a sub-story that's going on here, which we didn't hear about before. But obviously, Zevach and Salmuna had killed somebody in Tabor. And right, when they were running away, they passed through Tabor and they killed somebody. So they said, so he said to them, where are those people? And they said, oh, those people actually look very much like you. And it ended up, it was because, Gideon says in Pasuk Yutet, Vayomar, Achai b'nei Yimihem, those are my brothers from the same mother, my half-brothers. Chai Hashem, he says, had you not killed them, had you kept them alive, I would not kill you right now. But because you killed my brothers, you're going to die. You too are going to die. And Gideon tells his oldest son, whose name was Yeter, he says, pull your sword out and kill these two men. But he was a little kid. He was really a youngster, and he really didn't have the courage to do that. So instead, Gideon himself pulls out his sword and totally kills Zevach and Salmuna. And then it says that he takes there were certain types of jewelry that the Midianim would have on their camels' necks. And he says, I want you to, so he took those. And then he says to all the Jews who, I guess, had battled with him, he said, okay, I'm sorry, I skipped something. So the people of Israel asked Gideon to be his leader, their leader, because he just saved them from Midian, who was giving them a hard time for many, many years, as we saw in the last chapter. So Gideon says, no, I'm not going to be your leader, and neither is my son going to be your leader. Hashem yimshol bachem. Hashem is your leader. You guys have to realize that we're nobody. Hashem is our only true leader. So then Gideon says to them, but I will ask for one thing, and that is everybody should give some kind of a ring or some kind of nose ring or whatever exactly type of jewelry that they got from the Midianites when they beat them, and they all chipped in, and everyone put some kind of a ring into some kind of sheet or something, and it weighed a lot of. There was a lot of gold and silver there, and what did he do? In Pasuk Zayin, Vayas Oto Gideon le'ephod. Gideon turned all this gold and silver into an ephod. What exactly is an ephod? It's some kind of a belt or something, that a warrior wears. And the Mefarshim explained that he did it for good reason. He did it like as to show, to publicize the great salvation that Hashem had given for the Jewish people. But it says in the continuation of that pasuk that and he kept it presented it in his city. You call Yisrael the Jewish people. He's new. We know that word from the Lotaturu, right? Zonim, Znut, right? That the Jewish people started straying after it, meaning thinking that it had some kind of power, it was some kind of godly figure. And it ended up being for Gidon and his house as a mokesh, as a mishal, was a stumbling block. Because again, that wasn't his intention. The intention was to publicize the miracles that Hashem did, but people started looking at it in other ways and worshiping it in some way. Midian, after this whole story, was totally subdued before the Jewish people, and they no longer gave the Jewish people trouble, and there was 40 years of peace during the days of Gidon. At the end of the parak Tet, it says that everyone goes home, and Gidon had 70. It tells a little bit about Gidon. He had 70 sons because he had many, many wives. So he, from many wives, had 70 sons. And besides them, he also had a pilegesh, not a wife. A pilegesh is a concubine, a lower level than a wife. And she also gave birth and to one son, and his name was Avimelech. And we're going to hear a lot about Avimelech in the upcoming chapters. And at this point, Gidon in Pasuk Lamed Bet, Gidon dies, ripe old age, and he is buried in Ophrah. And unfortunately, the chapter ends with that after Gidon dies, Bnei Israel once again start in their evil ways, worshiping other gods, and they forgot God who saved them from all their enemies. And let's look at the last pasuk on it. Hey, lo asu chesed in beit Yubal Gidon k'chol tova asher asa im isha. They did not do, the Jews did not do chesed, did not do kindness with Gidon's house after all he had done for the Jewish people. And what are we referring to? That's the continuation. That's the next parak, and the parak after that, that talks about terrible story that happened with his son Avimelech, and we'll see that next time. Take care. See you next time.